I never believed in curses. Not until the moment I slipped into my grandfather's skin and watched my own body betray me from across the room. That afternoon in the dim attic of our family home in suburban Chicago, as the developed film from his forgotten camera unspooled like a noose, I realized the man I'd called family had stolen more than my trust. He'd stolen my life, frame by frame. And in that instant, with the acrid scent of developer chemicals burning my nostrils, I swore on the ghosts in those photographs that I'd make him pay, even if it meant becoming the monster he always was. The attic smelled like mildew and regret, the kind that clings to old wallpaper and yellowed newspaper clippings stacked in forgotten corners. I'd come up here on a whim. Really? After Aunt Lydia's funeral last week. She was the last tether to Grandpa Harlan's world, the one who'd hoarded his relics like sacred texts.
Mia.
Honey, she'd wheezed from her hospice bed, her voice a rasp against the hum of machines. Don't let his camera gather dust. That old beast has stories it'll tell if you listen. I figured it was the morphine talking. But grief makes fools of us all. So there I was, 28 and adrift in a life that felt like someone else's hand-me-down, prying open the battered leather case that had sat unmolested since Grandpa's stroke 5 years back. Harlan Whitaker had been a legend in our little corner of the Midwest, a photojournalist who'd chased wars and scandals from Vietnam to Watergate. His Leica slung like a six-shooter.
But to me,
he was just the gruff old coot who taught me to frame a shot without flinching, who smelled of darkroom chemicals and pipe tobacco. After his mind crumbled into silence, Mom sold off most of his gear to cover medical bills. But this camera, the hulking gray flex he'd nicknamed the Widowmaker, she'd kept hidden. Too cursed, she'd mutter, crossing herself like we were Catholics instead of lapsed Methodists. Superstitious nonsense, I'd always thought, until the film inside started whispering. It took me 3 days to set up a makeshift darkroom in the basement. I'd ordered trays and chems online. Hypocritical, I know, in an age of Instagram filters. But something about the ritual pulled me in. The red safe light glowed like a devil's eye as I unspooled the canister. 36 exposures, brittle and yellowed, like veins under parchment skin. The first few frames were innocuous. Grandpa at a VFW picnic in '78. His arms slung around a buddy with a purple heart pinned crooked, a street scene from Detroit riots. Smoke curling like accusations. But as the images bloomed in the developer bath, the hooks dug in. Frame 14, me, age 10, grinning gap-toothed at a backyard barbecue. But in the background, blurred and out of focus, a man's shadow lingered too long by the garage. Frame 17, my high school graduation.
Capta cel swinging.
But Grandpa's lens caught my father's hand, clenched, not clapping, resting on the shoulder of a woman who wasn't Mom. Evelyn. The name hit like a sucker punch. Evelyn Hargrove, Dad's campaign manager, the polished shark who'd propelled him from city council hack to Illinois state senator. I'd idolized her once, called her Aunt Evie at holiday parties, until she ghosted after Dad's accident. That's what they called it, an accident. The icy bridge on I-90. Dad's Crown Vic hydroplaning into the guardrail at 2 a.m.
No skid marks.
Toxicology clean. Mom got a folded flag and a pension. I got therapy bills and a lifetime of wondering why a teetotaler like him was out that late. The papers spun it as stress, re-election jitters.
They said.
But frame 21 shattered that fairy tale. There, in grainy black and white, Evelyn's convertible idled at the Bridges toll booth. Her profile unmistakable, lips parted in what could only be a shout. And behind the wheel of Dad's car, Not him. A silhouette. Broad-shouldered.
Familiar. Grandpa?
My hands trembled as I pinned the print to the line, the clothespin snapping like a judge's gavel.
No.
It couldn't be. Harlan had been bedridden by then, tubes snaking from his arms. But the shadow matched, the stoop from his bad knee, the way he gripped the wool like it owed him money. I staggered upstairs, the photo clutched like contraband, and confronted Mom in the kitchen. She was elbow-deep in dishwater, humming Sinatra to drown out the world. "Mom," I said, voice cracking like a teenager's. "What the hell is this?" She dried her hands on a dish rag, glanced at the image, and her face went the color of skim milk.
Mia.
"That's nothing. Old film stock. Light leaks." But her eyes, God, those eyes, darted like minnows in a jar. I'd seen that look before. The summer Dad died. When the cops asked about his erratic behavior, lies have a texture, and Mom's were threadbare. "Tell me," I pressed, slamming the photo on the Formica counter. "Or I swear, I'll drive to Springfield and ask Evelyn myself." She sank into a chair, the one Dad used to read the Trib in, and lit a Virginia Slim with shaking fingers. The smoke curled up like a confession. "It wasn't an accident.
Mia.
Your father. He found out about the affair. Evelyn and I wait.
No.
Evelyn and him. But it was her idea. The bills. The donors. She promised him the governorship if he played ball. When he balked, wanted out clean for you and your mom. She made it look like embezzlement. My stomach twisted.
Dad.
Crooked? The man who'd lectured me on integrity over meatloaf? And Grandpa? Mom's inhale was a wheeze. Harlan knew. He was tailing them for months. That damn camera, his witness. Evelyn caught wind, had her people. You know, connected folks, pressure him to bury the negatives. He wouldn't.
So they
dosed him. That stroke? Not natural. Belladonna extract. Slipped in his scotch. Slow poison. Mimics a vessel burst. He lingered just long enough to hide the camera. Tell Lydia where. I laughed. A brittle bark that echoed off the cupboards. And you? You covered for them? For her? Tears tracked mascara down her cheeks. I had no choice. They threatened you, baby. College. Your future. Evelyn's got tentacles everywhere, lobbyists, judges. She's untouchable now. Eyeing the Senate. Sworn in last month after the incumbent's retirement. Untouchable. The word ignited something feral in me. I'd lost Dad to her ambition, Grandpa to her venom, and Mom to her fear. And me, I'd been the collateral. The naive kid chasing photo gigs in Wicker Park. Freelancing for Vice knockoffs while Evelyn star-sended on my family's bones. That night, I couldn't sleep. The camera sat on my nightstand like a loaded gun, its bellows deflated but hungry. By dawn, I'd made my choice, developed the rest. Expose her. But as the final frames dried, frame 32, Evelyn in a hotel penthouse, handing an envelope to a man in a lab coat, frame 35. A syringe glinting under chandelier light, I realized exposure wasn't enough. Revenge was. It started small. I scanned the prints, anonymized them on a burner laptop, and seeded them to a string of alt weeklies and Reddit threads, r/true crime.
conspiracy.
State senator's mistress linked to fatal crash? The posts gained traction overnight, 1K upvotes. DMs from podcasters. Evelyn's office issued a denial. Crisp as starched linen, baseless smears from a grieving family, but the damage spiderwebbed. Protests outside her Springfield office. A Times profile questioning her meteoric rise. I watched from my couch, nursing a PBR, as her poll numbers dipped like a bad stock tip. She struck back fast. First, the calls, unknown numbers. Heavy breathers whispering, "Drop it, Whitaker, or you're next." Then the break-in my apartment tossed.
Laptop smashed?
But I'd backed up to the cloud. Cops called it random, but I smelled her, the faint whiff of Chanel No. 5 on the upturned cushions. Paranoia? Maybe. But when my editor at the Sun-Times killed my pitch, too hot.
Mia.
Liability. And my bank account froze over fraud alerts. I knew she was circling. That's when the dream started. Or hallucinations. I'd wake in sweats, convinced I heard the Greyflex's shutter click in the walls. One night, bleary-eyed at 3 a.m., I hauled it to the basement again. No film left, but as I peered through the viewfinder, the room warped. The safe light pulsed, red bleeding into violet, and a voice, not mine, rasped from the dark. "See me?"
Girl.
See what they took. I blinked, and the world inverted. My reflection in the developing tray wasn't my face, hazel eyes, pixie cut, but Harlan's, weathered and wry, staring back with a grin that split his beard. Grandpa. The word choked out, but it was his voice. Gravel and bourbon. Panic surged. I clawed at my arms, expecting flesh,
But felt.
coarser. Woolen cuffs. Liver spots.
No. God. No.
The swap hit like vertigo. One breath. I was Mia, 28, lithe and furious. The next, I was him, 83 at the end, body a betrayal of aches and twitches. Mind sharp as ever in this borrowed shell. The mirror confirmed it. Harlan Whitaker. Alive in my skin?
No, wait. Eastbourne?
And there I was. My own body slumping against the work table. Eyes vacant. Chest rising slow.
Trapped.
But whose handiwork? The camera's? Or hers? Mia in Harlan's husk, lurched forward, shaking my own shoulders. Wake up. What the fuck is this? My voice boomed. An old man's bellow. Her doing?
No.
Evelyn's reach didn't extend to black magic. But as consciousness flickered back into my face, it wasn't my eyes that opened. They were hers, cold, calculating, lined with the coal of a woman who'd clawed her way up on stilettos and secrets. Evelyn Hargrove blinked out at me from my body, a serpent in stolen silk. Well, she purred, my own alto twisted venomous. Looks like the Widowmaker bit back. She laughed then, a sound like shattering crystal, echoing off the concrete walls of the basement. My laugh. From my throat, God. It was intimate violation. Like she'd crawled inside my skull and rearranged the furniture. I backed away. Harlan's gnarled hands raised like a boxer past his prime, heart hammering against ribs that felt like kindling.
How?
I growled, his voice scraping like sandpaper on rust. What did you do to the camera? Evelyn and me stretched languidly. Fingers, my fingers, trailing over the Greyflex's brass fittings with a lover's caress.
Oh. Mia.
Sweet. Stubborn Mia. Your grandpa wasn't just a shutterbug, he dabbled. Occult fixers from his war days, Southeast Asian shamans peddling elixirs for the unflinching eye. That belladonna? It wasn't just poison. It bound us, soul to silver halide. When Harlan hid the film, he tethered his essence to it. Developed them. And you invite the dance. But me? I felt the pull years ago. After I dosed him. Tasted his memories like cheap wine. Yours now.
2. Girl.
We're all in the frame. Her words slithered, laced with that South Side accent she sanded smooth for TV spots. Born Evelyn Kowalski in a Bridgeport tenement. Reinvented as the wasp ice queen of Illinois politics. I'd pieced that from the photos. The ones showing her pre-plastic surgery.
Pushing petitions door to door.
But this was sorcery straight out of a bad Netflix thriller. Yet here we were. 2 women in ill-fitting skins. The darkroom's humidity pressing like a third conspirator. You killed him, I accused, stepping closer. Emboldened by the rage boiling in Harlan's veins, his memories flickering at the edges of my mind, foxholes in hue. The click of a Leica amid napalm haze.
And Dad.
For what? A Senate seat? Power's a hell of a drug. Evie. She smirked, my freckled lips curling predatory. Power's the only drug worth chasing. Your father was weak, moral grandstanding when the donors demanded kickbacks. Harlan, he could have exposed me, turned those prints into a Pulitzer. Instead, he played ghost, haunting from the grave.
But you
stirred the pot. Those leaks? Amateur hour.
Now.
With your body, youth. Your face. That plucky reporter vibe. I'll spin this as redemption. Haunted by my past. I come clean. Hero's arc. Baby. Book deal. TED Talk. The audacity ignited me. I lunged. Harlan's arthritic grip closing on my wrist. She twisted free easy. My yoga-toned reflexes mocking the old man's frailty. Careful. Grandpa, she taunted, shoving me back. I stumbled, hip cracking against the enlarger, pain lancing white-hot. She loomed, rifling through my purse on the shelf, ID, keys, the burner phone with its damning cloud links. We'll need to stage this right. Tragic accident for Harlan's return, senile relapse. Falls down the stairs.
Poof.
You're dust again. But as she turned, I saw it, the camera's lens, winking like an accomplice. Harlan's whisper goes to my thoughts. The shutter steals the soul. Reverse the exposure. Girl. Burn the negative. A plan crystallized. Mad and medieval. If this curse bound us through the film, maybe I could rebind it. Force her into the frame. Trap her essence while I clawed back mine. First, survival. I feigned collapse, slumping theatrical against the trays, chemicals sloshing. Please, I wheezed in Harlan's timbre. Water. Sympathy?
No.
But curiosity, her Achilles heel, that need to gloat. She fetched a glass from the utility sink, bending close. I surged, swinging the wooden developing paddle like a Louisville slugger. It connected with a thud, her temple, my temple, and she crumpled, eyes rolling back. Time blurred. I dragged her, me, up the basement stairs, each step a Sisyphean grind on Harlan's brittle knees. Mom was out. Thank Christ. At her grief group in Evanston. I locked us in the attic. The cameras cased my arc. barricaded the door with Grandpa's old trunk, heavy as sin. Then, the ritual. Harlan's memories guided, a chant in fractured Vietnamese, hands steadying the gray flecks on its tripod. I posed her, my body before the lens, arranging limbs like a marionette, forcing Evelyn's slack features into a rictus smile.
Click.
The shutter snapped. Not film but fate. Nothing.
No swap. No fireworks.
Just silence, broken by her groan. She stirred, rubbing her head, and sat up slow. Cute trick, Whitaker. But you can't outframe me. She rose, graceful, even dazed, and I braced for the fight. But she didn't charge. Instead, she circled, appraising. We could split it. You know. Your body for a cut of the action. I take the Senate run. You ghostwrite my memoirs. Harlan's voice. Mia's fire. Bestseller material. Temptation nod. In this husk, I felt the creep of age, joints grinding like gears in need of oil, memories of lost loves fading like overexposed prints. But Dad's face flashed, twisted metal, his last breath stolen. No deals with devils. Go to hell, I spat. Her eyes, my eyes, hardened. Already been. And dragged your family down with me. She lunged then, nails raking. But I was ready. I'd rigged the attic light, the exposed bulb swinging loose. As she grappled, I yanked the chain. Sparks flew. Glass shattered, plunging us into dark. In the chaos, I shoved her toward the camera, bellows compressing under her weight. Another click. Involuntary. The gray flexes spring uncoiling like a trap. The air thickened, ozone sharp, and the swap wrenched us again. Vertigo. Then clarity. I was me, gasping in my skin, the attic floorboards cool under palms that felt right. Across from me, Evelyn blinked from Harlan's face. Confusion etching new lines.
What? Mia? How?
Payback's a bitch, I said, my voice mine again, steady as Lake Michigan on a calm day. But victory soured quick. She know. He now clawed at his throat. Harlan's throat. Wheezing. The binding. It's fraying. She knew. The shaman's curse traps the thief in the thief's guise. His eyes widened, not with fear, but cunning. Even trapped, Evelyn schemed.
Wait.
We fix this.
Call my people.
They'll.
No.
I snatched the camera, its weight a talisman, and bolted the door tighter. Downstairs, I fired up the laptop, uploading the full archive, photos, Mom's testimony transcribed on the sly last night, even a shaky video of the swap I'd caught on my phone. Hashtags, Evelyn exposed Midwest murder. By morning, it was viral CNN tickers, X threads exploding, protesters massing at the State House. Evelyn pounded from above. Harlan's fists feeble. You little shit, this ruins everything. But her empire cracked. Indictments loomed. Donors fleeing like rats from a blaze. I watched the coverage from the kitchen, coffee bitter on my tongue, as Mom returned and froze at the screen.
Mia.
What have you done? Justice, I whispered. But as sirens wailed distant, FBI. No doubt. Tracing the leaks to our address, doubt crept. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd weaponized a family curse, aired dirty laundry nationwide, maybe even committed assault in that basement brawl. Was I avenger or vigilante? Hero or the next Hargrove? The knock came at noon. Suits. Badges gleaming. MS. Whitaker? We need to talk about Senator Hargrove. I opened the door, camera in hand like a smoking gun. Start with the film, I said. It doesn't lie. The feds swarmed like locusts, turning our bungalow into a crime scene light, tape across the attic stairs. Techs in Tyvek suits cataloging the gray flecks like it was Enron's ledger. Evelyn, still marooned in Grandpa's body, sat handcuffed on the floral sofa, Harlan's liver-spotted hands twitching against steel. She glared daggers from his roomy eyes. That South Side snarl twisting his mustache. This is kidnapping.
Mia.
Assault. You'll rot. I met her gaze. Unflinching. Funny. Coming from the woman who poisoned a Pulitzer winner and staged a senator's suicide. Call it karma.
Evie.
Or poetic justice. Take your pick. Mom hovered in the doorway, wringing her apron like a lifeline, eyes darting between us.
Mia.
Honey, maybe we should have gone legal. Lawyers.
Not.
This. But her voice lacked conviction. Years of silence had atrophied her fight. The agents ignore her, zeroing on me. Lead guy? Agent Ruiz, stocky.
No nonsense.
With a mustache that screamed undercover cop in a 90s procedural, flipped open a notebook. MS. Whitaker. Walk us through the transfer. And don't omit details. We've got forensics on the prints. Belladonna traces match Harlan's talk screen. Hargrove's prints all over the negatives? Sloppy. I spilled it all. The attic discovery. The darkroom revelations. The curse's Gothic mechanics. Ruiz's brow furrowed deeper with each improbable twist. But the evidence stacked, photos time-stamped via metadata hacks. Mom's corroboration under duress. Even Evelyn's own burner calls traced to threats. By evening, she was en route to Cook County lockup, booked as Evelyn Hargrove, aka Harlan Whitaker, gender and age be damned. The press ate it up. Body swap scandal rocks Illinois politics. Tabloids screamed witch hunt or whistleblower, while cable news pitted talking heads, feminists decrying my betrayal of sisterhood, conservatives hailing every woman's revenge. Sleep evaded me that night. The house too quiet without Mom's pacing or the faint thump of Evelyn's futile protests. I wandered the basement. Trays still crusted with residue. The gray flecks dismantled on the table like a gutted fish. Harlan's voice lingered in echoes. Frame it right.
Mia.
Or it frames you. What had I unleashed? Not just on her, but on me. The swap's aftershocks hummed, phantom aches in joints that weren't mine. Flashes of his war horrors bleeding into dreams, a buddy's face dissolving in Agent Orange mist. Dawn brought the twist. The one that appended everything like a darkroom spill. My phone buzzed at 6:17 a.m. unknown caller. But the voice was silk over gravel. Mia Whitaker? This is Dr. Elias Crow. Northwestern Memorial. We treated your grandfather. Urgent matter regarding his estate. Estate? Harlan's will was probated years ago. A pittance to Mom and me. I drove to the city through rush hour snarl. Wrigleyville's holiday lights mocking my unease. Crow's office was buried in the psych ward. Walls lined with faded headshots, celebs, Paul's, all discreet consultations. He was a sparrow of a man. Tweed jacket swallowing his frame. Eyes sharp behind bifocals. Miss Whitaker. Harlan left instructions. Contingent on the camera's recovery. He slid a dossier across the desk. Manila envelope. Stamped confidential. Inside. Letters, Harlan scrawl. Dated weeks before the stroke. Dearest Mia. One began. If you're reading this, the Widowmaker sung. Evelyn's no witch. Girl. Neither was I. The curse?
Akon.
My last slight. Belladonna? Placebo. To fake the decline. The swaps? Hypnosis, deep dive. Light tricks in the darkroom. Suggestion amplified by stress. She fell for it hook. Line thought she dosed me, but it was mutual. I played her. Made her believe the film's power. Drew her confession on tape. Your leaks?
The bait. Now.
End it clean. My world tilted.
Grandpa.
The con artist? Not victim. But puppet master? The photos staged? Dad's crash.
No.
That was real. Ruiz had dashcam footage pending. Evelyn's convertible fleeing the scene. But the rest? Harlan had orchestrated the haunt, using me as proxy to lure her into the trap. The swap in the basement? I'd conked her with the paddle.
Sure.
But the voices, the essence shift, gaslighting gold, mirrors angled, chemicals inducing hallucinations. His pre-recorded whispers via hidden Bluetooth. Why me? I choked.
Dossier Trembling.
Why not expose her yourself? Crow leaned forward. Breath minty. Parkinson's was real, but early. He wanted you in the fight, your fire, not his fading spark. Teach her to frame the bastards, he said. And the twist? Evelyn's not the big bad. She's the pawn. The envelope's final page. A wire transfer receipt. $2 mill from an offshore account. Dad's slush fund. Laundered through Evelyn's packs. But the signature? Harlan Whitaker. Grandpa hadn't just known about the graft. He'd engineered it. Back in Nam. He'd run black market ops, cigarettes. Intel for the Shutterbugs Trust. Stateside. He funneled Dad into politics. Greased palms with Evelyn as frontwoman. The affair? Cover for the skim. Dad's death? Not murder, suicide. Guilt-ridden. He'd driven off that bridge, leaving Harlan to clean up. The photos? Insurance. To keep Evelyn in line. Until Dad pulled the pin, forcing Grandpa's hand. Betrayal layered on betrayal. I'd avenged ghosts that weren't ghosts. Toppled a queen to crown a king long dead. Evelyn? She'd rot. 5 to 10 on manslaughter conspiracy. Her empire ash.
But me?
Complicit now. In Harlan's web. The money, dirty as Lake Calumet, stared back. A devil's dowry. I burned it that afternoon in the backyard fire pit. Flames devouring the pages as neighbors' BBQs smoked the air. Mom found me there. Eyes red-rimmed. What now? Baby.
Now.
I stood. The Greyflex's case at my feet. Empty and echoing. We live. Really live. No more frames. But as I smashed the lens under my boot, heavy, satisfying crunch, doubt lingered. Was Harlan's con redemption or damnation? Had I freed us? Or just swapped one thief for another? The news cycle spun on, debates raging in diners from Peoria to Peoria. Was Mia Whitaker a hero or a hack? I tuned it out. Booked a red-eye to LA, fresh start. Chasing sunsets instead of shadows. Yet in quiet moments, I feel the click. The shutter that never quite closes. And sometimes, in the rear view, I swear I see him, Grandpa, grinning from the back seat.
Camera slang eternal.